Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Driscoll Decoded. My name is Angela and I am your host for this podcast. So today we're on location at Driscoll Children's Hospital in Corpus Christi. And I'm real excited for this episode because we stepped into November. It's holiday season and I just think it's a perfect time to talk about mental health. It is such an important topic that we need to talk about as families, as parents, as friends. Bring awareness of, with all that. And today we're actually going to step in front of that. And I'm real excited to introduce our guest today. Her name is Lisa McKenna, and she's the Director of Clinical Practice for the Mental Health Department here at the hospital. So welcome.
Thanks, Angela. I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad. You are the perfect person for this. As I said, you are the director of the clinical practice. Can you give me a little insight of what your role is and what you do here?
Sure, Angela. Well, I oversee our child life services, social work and behavioral and mental health. And what that means here at Driscoll Children's Hospital is that we're here to support for the mental health. And we are not a psychiatric center, nor are we, but we are here to provide supportive resources. We conduct mental health assessments, and we're here for supportive clinical bedside as well for the mothers and caregivers and adults here as well.
Driscoll Children's Hospital, of course, it's for from birth until it could be to age 18, 19, 20.
You can go up to in the 20s too, that sometimes they're followed, in certain departments. But when I mentioned adults, I guess more specifically, the adult caregivers that we're here to offer support and also to my colleagues as well.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So all around care.
Yes.
I love that. I'm really glad that you're here today because mental health is it could be a very heavy topic for anyone. So we're going to dive deep into that already. So holiday blues, holiday depression, it's kind of like a reoccurrence every year, no matter how great a year could have been. For some reason, something can always lead to that. I know, for me, I think I started realizing it when I started saying it doesn't feel like Thanksgiving or it doesn't feel like Christmas and not really understanding of, well, why, And it could be financial stress, being lonely, being away from family problems. There's so many ways that it could lead to that.
Absolutely. Those are all things that I was going to name in addition to losing loved ones, change of routine. Like you said, there's isolation, there's financial stress, there's expectation. Around the holidays, we're still expected to maintain our regular jobs and routines, but yet we still have all these other events to attend to. There's a lot of pressures.
Yeah. And then for children, it's, as we would assume as parents that children have nothing to worry about, but they're in their own little world as well. And we might not know because we don't have access to their mind as much as we would want. How much do you see of the holiday blues, depression come up in the children?
Believe it or not, just as much as it is in adults. They're going through the same anxieties, the same pressures. Think of all the things happening at school and all the events happening. Mm-hmm. Some kids are often worrying if their parents are going to attend some holiday event at their school, and that can put anxiety and stress. There's a lot of gift giving, which adds financial for kids. So you really can equate a lot of the adult things that we're talking about to children as well. There's also, different types of families. We've got a lot of divorced families, and that can affect going back and forth. And that changes up your routine. It changes up your traditions. Mm-hmm. That can affect the child as well.
I can definitely relate because I remember those moments of, like you said, gift giving, oh, well, I have so many friends, in middle school, high school, I have so many friends, but I want to give them all this. And then just feeling the pressure from my parents as well. Okay, well, that can't really happen. And then just feeling that in school society pressure of gift giving and then going back and forth to houses. Man, now that you laid everything out, I didn't realize how much our children understand and interact with basically the adult ways of life. Mm-hmm. So holiday blues, holiday depression. I know if we ever look it up on the internet, it's like, oh, we're coming back from a vacation, or
yeah, it's like the post blues of like,
yes.
yeah.
But in this episode, we're gonna be talking about like holiday season blues, depression. So what's the difference between holiday blues / depression versus clinical depression?
To sum it up briefly, intensity and frequency.
Okay.
So holiday blues, you feel sad, maybe anxious, and it's how long it's lasting. Typically through November, December, a little bit of January. But if it goes on much longer than that, or it's happening prior to the holidays, and then the frequency, I mean, we do see some sadness. We will see some of these things can borderline with both, but, if we're seeing signs of trouble sleeping, appetite, loss of interest, isolation, things of those nature, but I would look at the intensity and frequency of those. That is the best way to kind of define them. If they go beyond those couple of months, and even within those months, if it's affecting your activities of daily living or you're worried, it's never a problem to talk to someone, to reach out to someone, whether it's holiday blues or clinical depression. If you don't know, talk to someone. And what I mean by that is talk to a mental health professional, your primary care physician. In addition, faith-based too, clergy, pastors, school counselors. In many of our, work environments, we offer EAP, Employee Assistance Program. I know we do here at Driscoll. That's another resource. So some of those things, it doesn't have to be a mental health professional, but I would gear it to some type of professional. You don't have to have clinical depression in order to reach out. It can be the holiday blues, because if it's affecting you, and again, affecting your activities of daily living, then reach out and talk to someone. And help you distinguish what it is.
Yes. I was talking to my parents about like mental health, because I know in these days now, everything's more brought to light and everything is like, it's okay. Like everyone goes through it. There's like a normalcy with it. But of course, like with my parents, they were brought up a whole different other time. It's like, no, like I don't need to talk to anyone. I'm okay. Kind of like understanding our own body, our own mind. And I just remember telling them like how important it is. Like, I think you do need like another perspective of how you need to approach these feelings, or how to deal, or how to overcome, or just like we all need that different perspective, and especially a more educated one. Cause there's only so much that we know as well.
I look at it this way, Angela. I think, and it's great that you said that, because a lot of our parents or, cultural beliefs, they believe you don't need to get professional help, or there's a stigma to mental health. But if you look at it this way, that we all need someone to talk to, somebody objective. And I think of myself as a therapist, I'm objective and it's confidential. Whatever you say to me stays between the patient and I, or unless they're at imminent harming themselves or someone else. But it's someone just to talk to, reflect upon. It's objective, and there's confidentiality. Sometimes we go to talk to somebody and we think maybe they're a friend, and we find out that our business got spread. But I'm just saying it's a safe place.
Gotcha.
So
I like that, the objective part, because as a child as well, sometimes we have to be the listening ear for our parents. And it's like, well, now I'm getting overwhelmed. And you're overwhelmed, and it's not really helping both of us at the moment. So I like that. It's just so important that we bring awareness to mental health, because children, as we're seeing it now, like because of the access to social media and just like the outside of their little world, that they have more understanding of what it is, and it can either go down a bad route or it can go down a more resourceful route. And
to add to that, if you don't mind, and part of the stress in social media is adding how commercialized and how things look on social media, and we look and we compare and contrast, that can bring us down. I mean, we think that everyone has this perfect like holiday setting, or even the Christmas tree. I mean, looking in the background, or the holiday cards that go out. I mean, people need to be realistic. I mean, how many takes did it take for them to get that perfect shot and all those things? And I think we compare, and we're in comparing on social media, whether it's during the holidays or other, I think it's really difficult for all of us.
Yeah, I really agree. And to add into that, I remember there's like this little like social media movement of like, don't post what you got for Christmas. Don't post how many presents are under on the tree, just because, like you just said, like you never know what someone else is going through on the other side. And I'm just glad like people are seeing this, and everyone's kind of like on the same, same level of, we need to protect each other's mental health. I grabbed some snippets from Reddit, and man, like they're deep. And so let me see. So from one person, anyone find themselves having holiday depression? Do any of you guys find yourself always feeling sad on major holidays? For some reason, whenever a holiday rolls around, I, male 21, always find something to be depressed about, whether it's something about my life, my parents fighting over something that happened. There's always something for me to be sad about on these days when you're supposed to be celebrating and happy stuff. Is it just me? Probably not, but feel free to share stories, anecdotes, and opinions.
I think many of us feel that way at different stages of our lives. And sometimes having a post like this does helps other people not feel alone. There's so many people feeling that way. Maybe not every year, maybe some years, maybe we've lost a loved one, maybe our family's gone through a recent divorce. I mean, there's so many reasons. Yes, it's supposed to be this great, happy time of the year, and you hear Christmas music, but there's so much, like we were talking about, the expectations and the pressures of it all, the responsibilities, not to mention the get-togethers. I mean, we're family, we love each other, but sometimes we don't see eye to eye with everything, and you're in close quarters, and people are taking off of work, trying to be there, and it's a lot of pressure.
And even like the expectations of like, okay, well, what am I going to bring? Like, am I going to bring enough? Like, are they going to like it? Like, there's so much to just like a simple lunch or a dinner that we put so much thought into because we're trying to reach like these expectations of everything. Man, I hear you. And
he's not alone. I mean, so you have other snippets?
Yeah, one more. So this one says, I hate the holiday season. I hate that so many people love holidays because it brings families together. But ever since 15, I've hated it so much. Oh, I've hated it too much. Trauma happens on Christmas that I will have to live with the rest of my life. Every year I spend it's a lot. Every year I spend in tears from late October to the end of January. I dread I don't even feel better around this time of year because of the cold weather. It doesn't help at all. It just makes me more depressed. Can't seem to keep my soul off the ground from it. I will never be happy. I see others happy and I kind of envy it. I tell myself I wish I had the drive and motivation that these people have, yet I'm an outcast. I'm insanely different in this normal world, and it pains me. I don't fit in. I'm not sure. I'm sure I'm hurt in a way no one will ever know. If I won the lottery, I would still be depressed. It's just the way it is. There's no cure to it. I wish there was a vaccine that can help me. That'll give me energy and happiness.
Angela, this one sounds to me, just from one hearing it, and it's unfair to me make any diagnosis based on this, but this is a very hopeless message. And this sounds like the holidays made it that much worse for this person, that they've already lost a lot of hope in their life, and it can exacerbate a current mental illness and depression. So, and that's something to realize too. This sounds like they've gotten to the holidays and they're at their wits' end. And I would encourage someone at this point to seek professional mental health right away. It sounds very hopeless. And then seeing somebody, I mean, I would love for this individual to get help, just like many others, is that there's so much more out in our world. The world is so much bigger than we believe. And having somebody kind of just show us that there's other things. Maybe we don't have the same traditions we had before, but create new ones, reinvent things, create, we may have lost our family, but, maybe we create, people have things like Friendsgiving. giving. I thought that was the coolest thing when I heard about Friendsgiving, because not everyone has that traditional family, but create your own family. There are other things you can do, but maybe it takes sitting down with someone to think about these things, to think that there is a way out and there are other things.
I love that. And, you don't need a ton of money to make things happen. Like, it starts from something so small, just like a change of mind, really, when it comes to like, okay, well, I'm going to do just this little thing different. You don't need to put together this whole, how do I say, like, you don't need to put this whole event together to make a difference, in how you feel. It just takes, from what I would expect, it would just take just a change of perspective, a change of mind. And like you said, like talking to someone.
We get caught up in those little things that you're saying, is that the event doesn't have to be elaborate. Gifts don't have to be elaborate. It's, it's the presence. It's being there. I think we need to think about that. It's having company, just being next to somebody. But we're so caught up in material things. We're caught up in how everything looks. But just showing up and being there. Some of the best things are backyard barbecues to me. I mean, and actually less pressure to have to dress up and things like that too, because that puts pressure on people too, on how we look and then the questions, people are going to ask. There's so much. I think we all need to be a little bit easier on ourselves, and opening up this topic, I hope helps. Like, I feel this pressure too. I mean, and we all feel it. I feel it. I feel it with, my children. Of course, I want to get them nice gifts, right? But more importantly, I just want them home for the holidays. I want us to be together. We have to really think, of course, we want to do these great things and have this, but what is really the most important thing? I think we have to bring back to what's important. Material things really, truly aren't the most important. Do they make us feel good at the time? Yes. But memories and knowing that, we're there, or creating new memories. I'll tell you, working in a hospital setting, I've worked many holidays. And you know what? I don't regret any of those holidays. The only regret is if I've missed out on time with my children, but yet we create those things here. We create families within here. You maybe have a potluck here. It's kind of nice. It's a small group of people at the hospital that are here caring for other patients, and it makes you feel good. Try to find something and other things. Volunteer. Help other people. There's so many things you can do instead of feeling sorry for yourself. And we all do feel sorry for ourselves, but try to change it up a little bit. Maybe it's not the tradition or what you would have normally done, but volunteer.
Build where you can.
Build where you can. I like that. Yeah.
I know you mentioned earlier about how you're seeing, mental health problems in children a lot more. What are the signs that we can look out for as parents let me take a step back. Actually, at what age do you usually see like the onset of mental health problems in children?
Mental health does not discriminate with age, unfortunately. We see it as early in preschool years. You can just see the affect, the anxiety. Something as simple as changing children's routine really affects them and cause anxiety. We see children of all ages. Typically, where we see the most, where they have the most acute mental health is around age 14. But I'm telling you, I've seen symptoms as early as 3 and 4 year olds, but then coming into our emergency room, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's getting earlier and earlier.
Oh, wow. And what are some signs that as parents that we can look out for?
Yeah. So I would look at how tired your child is based on their activity level. I mean, if they're not have a high level of activity and they're sleeping too much, I would look into that, or not sleeping enough. Staying awake and having a lot of worry, no longer enjoying activities that they previously enjoyed, feelings of guilt, worthlessness, change in personal relationships, things like that, and difficult concentrating sometimes or making decisions. That could be due to a lot of anxiety and or depression. And the same thing for adults. Adults and children, all of these things can
near each other.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So. If we see those symptoms, what would you recommend that we do? Like, of course, if anything, the pediatrician would be like the first person that we need to talk to. And then I'm guessing like a referral would be made.
Yeah, I'd start with even depending on the intensity. And we might notice, I don't want anyone to react if their kid is, like, for example, no longer interested in certain activity. They might have outgrown it, for example, but sitting down with them and talking to them, having an open relationship, checking in on your child, have a conversation with them, talk to them, especially around the holidays. If you've lost a loved one or something and you notice that they're kind of down, it's okay to say, hey, I miss grandpa too, or I miss grandma also. You can have these conversations and it can open up more. It may not have to lead into something else. Maybe it was something as simple as having that conversation and going through it together. But if you're still feeling that your child is having difficulty, seek help in the community, whether it's through your pediatrician. And then the pediatrician can give you a referral for a mental health professional. In addition to the schools, reach out in your school. School guidance counselors can give you referrals as well as the social workers.
Oh, okay. So have you ever seen, when roles are reversed where children are seeking help to help their parents?
Yes, absolutely. And it's difficult because you don't want to see that. You don't want to see the kids, but we do see it. Parentified children doing more in the families and trying to help the caregiver versus the opposite, like the opposite of the role. We do, and it's kind of doing the same thing. I mean, I guess I don't want to recommend kids helping, but letting kids know the resources and encouraging their parents to get help and say, it's okay. I talked to my school guidance counselor or my school social worker, or reminding them, hey, mom, dad, you've told me to talk about how I feel, and letting them know that, kind of reverse the role a bit about how they've helped you and encourage them, just like we'd encourage a colleague or, if they come to you or a family member, anyone to get help in the same things, encourage those routines, going for a walk, talking about it. Sleep, expectations. I think all the things that we would say to a child, we could say to an adult.
Okay. Yeah. So it would like mirror with adults helping other adults with that of, encouraging.
But I would encourage a child to seek the help of another adult, to help them with that. That's a lot to fall on a child.
Yeah. So would you recommend like a family or like a family member or someone more objective?
Someone trusted, if it could be a pastor, could be somebody in the school district. It could, like I said, a counselor, a social worker. It could be trusted pediatrician, family doctor.
As real as it is, it's tough to hear like, well, from what I've experienced in my life, it's whenever parents lose a loved one, whether it's their parents or someone in the family or a friend. And as a child, we really see it, how it affects them. So you gave some great points there.
And it's okay if we lose someone to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to talk about those things too. I mean, it's human. And I think that's what we would normalize a lot of the mental health is that not everything is diagnosed or we have a mental illness, that going through sadness and crying and having a loss, those are ways we cope. We have to go through things to deal with things. Talking about things are a way of coping. Doesn't mean that we have a diagnosed mental illness. These are feelings that we need to just go through the motions in order to be a healthy human being. And we need to model that for our children.
That's so reassuring to hear because like instantly, if I'm feeling, it's kind of like I don't know how I'm trying to say this, but like instantly like, oh, like I've been sad for this long because this happened. Like, no, like doesn't mean, what you just said is like being diagnosed as, depressed or clinically diagnosed there. It's just like, it's common.
Angela, have you ever had like a close friend or a colleague or somebody that you just, I don't know, they just seem like they have it all together. Everything's perfect. And all of a sudden it could be just something small that they made a mistake and it's like, you're human. It's the same thing. You see somebody have a tear and it's like, you're human. We're all human. We all cry. We all make mistakes. Some of us are just better at hiding it. But when we see others doing it, we're like, wow, I'm not alone. And nobody is alone. We're all struggling. Every single one of us. every single one of us on this floor, whether you're a physician, a nurse, a therapist, whether, whatever we're all going through something.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell the kids that if, you walk through your local school and you had little bubbles on your head,
Mm-hmm.
it would say something, I'm anxious about my test, or my parents got in a big fight last night, or I'm nervous about sitting alone at lunch. Everybody is going through something every day. Yeah. We all are.
I agree. And, you brought up a good point. One way I started realizing that I possibly had like holiday blues and depression is when I was in college. And it was always like during the finals time. Like I would literally get sick and I wanted to sleep the whole time. Like I was focused on the test and that was it. And it was just not a good time for me. And I'm like, man, it's always I can never really enjoy the holidays because I'm either overcoming a sickness or I'm still sick and and by the time it's over, like school's about to start again on the new semester. So everything has its cycle, unfortunately. But learning, any like maneuvers that I could, I think like for me, it was, turning off my brain. Like I literally had to turn it off and just like, okay, the test is done. Like go do something fun, or enjoy something that I really wanted to do and not letting school be my only priority.
And did those feelings of sickness go away once you did that?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Everything. I feel like there was like a dramatic change. Like I wasn't getting sick anymore. I was able to actually relax rather than like go to sleep because I'm just so mentally exhausted and that's all I want to do. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do like anything else. I didn't want to enjoy that time off. And I felt like I literally just made myself sick. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like once I started like, taking on those new ways of like, okay, done, like no more thinking. It's already done and finished. There's nothing else I can do. And just kind of like trying to enter a new mindset. Yeah. Of, well, what's to come is to come and I will handle it there.
I'm glad you brought up about feeling sick because that's something, psychosomatic symptoms. Once you've ruled out anything through organically, medically, we can get headaches and stomach aches. So psychosomatic. Yeah. And so that's why I asked the question is, did it stop once your exams were through? And you said yes. But I would urge people that if they continued, then to go seek medical advice because you want to rule that out first.
Wow. Yeah.
But it can mirror that. I mean, you can get headaches and stomach aches that can be due from anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm. And like how one of the, from the Reddit snippets of the cold weather. Yeah. Yeah. Like, the cold weather doesn't make me feel any better. And, it's crazy how many factors go into play.
And everyone's different. I'll say they're saying the cold weather. I'm from up north. Uh-huh. The heat depresses me. So to be honest, because that's what I'm used to growing up north and seeing the snow and looking out and it's Christmas time, holiday time, and I'm not seeing the cold weather, the snow. It affects me. So we're all affected differently.
Wow. So you really don't know what someone is going through.
No, you don't.
But I'm so glad we had this time just to sit down and really kind of decode holiday blues, holiday depression versus like clinical depression. And you gave those signs of what to look for in children and adults. What are some resources that our viewers can dive into and to always just make sure they have on them?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it can be, we've touched on them a bit, but I mean, we have many resources here in Nueces County. We have the local mental health authority. We have national, we've got not the easiest texting now, 988. We have hotlines. We have 1-800-662-HELP, which is national. The HELP is 4357. We have, the other things that I've mentioned that it could be at your place of work. If you have employee assistance programs, if you are faith-based, maybe a clergy or a pastor at schools, you have counselors and social workers to give you referrals. There's so much help out there. If also we have our department, You can call us. We're at 361-694-6434 with the behavioral health department. If anything, you remember this number and you want to ask us where you can turn to for specific help, whether it's substance abuse, mental health, or maybe just someone to talk to. Maybe you just don't even know if there's really anything going wrong. I mean, like I said, who could not benefit from talking to somebody that's objective and it's confidential?
Yes.
And we're all struggling. And so I just urge whatever way it is, whether you want to call the helpline or you want to go somewhere in person, or again, personally call me. I'm happy to take your call and direct you where you need to go.
Thank you, Lisa. And these lines, these national helplines, they're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Like there's no open and close. So I really do encourage, if you're feeling any type of way, please reach out to these lines. And then of course, like if you want to go more local, hop on the website, do a quick Google search or just write down from what Lisa just said.
I do want to say, preface that if it's an emergency, don't reach out to me. I want you to call 911. So,
Yes.
or call one of these helplines. And like you said, they are 24/7, through holidays. There's always someone there. And, there's the suicide and crisis lifeline, like I mentioned. There's also other, resources that's important here in Texas. It's 211 option 8. And that is also for other resources. So that can help with financial stresses and, food pantries, things of that. I mean, because not only do we need someone to talk to, but we also need resources, and some of them are financial. So we can always look up 211 and see what they have there.
211 Tech. That's for Texas residents.
Yes.
Amazing. I do want to bring just a little light to that. So I've actually tried, I don't know if it was one of these hotlines. It was something through my insurance, and I called them and they were so patient. And I just remember like crying. I just needed someone to talk to and someone who wasn't family. And I remember like crying, and they're just so patient and said, okay, like take some deep breaths, like tell me what's going on. And they were able to help me, from like A to Z, like get to my solution. And it was truly just so great knowing that someone was really like waiting for your call, ready to help. And, I really do encourage anyone and everyone, use these lines. They're not asking like for any information from you. If anything, they just want to know like your first name so they can really begin a conversation with you. And I really enjoy this. I really appreciate this. Lisa.
Do you mind if I just repeat those numbers based on now that we've talked about these and how it can be anonymous and you can call? And like you said, depending on the intensity and whatever's going on, you can call this number. But again, it's 1-800-662-4357. You can also text 988. If it is an emergency, I do recommend you calling 911, and they can refer you from there, as well as our local mental health organization. So I just want to repeat those options, as well as 211 if you're looking for other resources.
Yes. Thank you.
And you brought up a great one with the insurance company, calling your insurance company, and they can give you recommendations already of what's covered under your insurance. So if you have insurance, that's another route to take. But they also have people that are there and case managers to help you through things and talk through things and kind of direct you to what you need.
Nice. So like beyond the call, beyond the solution, there's more steps to it. I love that. It's very caring, and mental health is a heavy topic, and we can go into many more subtopics with that. But I'm glad we were here to just address like holiday blues, depression. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your day and to joining us here.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity, and also to help normalize what we all go through the holidays too.
Yeah, of course, of course. So thank you everyone for joining us here today. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to DM us. If you're needing specific information, again, we'll link it all down below. We'll give all those numbers. And if you need any help at all, please reach out. Our DMs, our website, our member services lines are always open as well. So please reach out to somebody. Somebody's always wanting to help, wanting to hear, and you're never alone. You are never alone. So thanks for joining in, guys, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.